In the heart of the Amazon rainforest, where emerald leaves whispered ancient secrets and morning mist danced between towering trees, lived a small hummingbird named Pip. Unlike her magnificent cousins with their brilliant ruby throats and sapphire wings, Pip was plain brown with only the faintest shimmer of green on her tiny feathers. What she lacked in beauty, however, she made up for in heart. Every morning, as the first rays of sunlight pierced through the canopy, the jungle would come alive with the great race of life. It wasn't an official competition with ribbons and cheers, but rather the daily struggle that every creature faced to survive, thrive, and find their purpose. The jaguars raced through the undergrowth hunting for prey. The monkeys swung swiftly between branches competing for the ripest fruits. And the colorful toucans soared majestically, their beaks cutting through the air as they claimed the highest perches. Pip watched them all with wonder, her tiny heart beating faster than a drum in a rainstorm. She longed to excel at something, to find her place in this magnificent race. But every attempt seemed to end in disappointment. When she tried to keep up with the swift parrots, her small wings grew tired within minutes. When she attempted to sing like the melodious thrushes, her voice came out as barely a whisper. Even the busy ants seemed to accomplish more in a day than she ever could. "I'm too small, too plain, too ordinary," Pip sighed one evening, perched on a thin branch overlooking a rushing stream. "Everyone else seems to know exactly what they're racing toward, but I don't even know where to begin." As if summoned by her despair, an ancient toucan named Sage landed beside her. His once brilliant beak had faded with age, and his eyes held the wisdom of countless seasons. "Young one," he said gently, "you speak of racing as if it has only one finish line, doesn't it?" Pip asked, tilting her head. "Everyone seems to be racing for the same things: food, territory, survival." Sage chuckled, a sound like rustling leaves. But that's where you're mistaken. The race of life isn't about reaching the same destination as everyone else. It's about discovering your own unique path and running it with all your heart." The next morning, instead of trying to copy others, Pip decided to explore what made her different. She discovered that her small size allowed her to slip through spaces others couldn't reach. Her hovering ability, which she'd always considered inferior to straight-line speed, enabled her to access nectar from flowers that other birds couldn't approach. Most remarkably, her gentle nature drew her to visit the shy creatures others overlooked. The tiny frogs hiding under leaves, the caterpillars inching along branches, the field mice scurrying through the underbrush. As days passed, something magical began to happen. Word spread through the jungle about the little brown bird who brought comfort to the forgotten ones. When a baby sloth fell from its mother's embrace, Pip was there to guide the worried parent to where the little one had landed safely. When an elderly tortoise struggled to find water during the dry season, Pip led him to a hidden spring she'd discovered during her explorations. One scorching afternoon, a terrible fire started at the jungle's edge, threatening to spread toward their home. The larger animals fled in panic, racing away from danger. But Pip noticed something others had missed. Several small creatures were trapped, too frightened or slow to escape. Without hesitation, she began darting back and forth, leading ant colonies to safety, showing field mice the quickest escape routes, and alerting the monkey families about babies left behind in the chaos. Her actions inspired others. Soon, birds of all sizes joined her rescue efforts, and even the swift jaguars began helping smaller animals reach safety. Together, they formed a chain of compassion that saved countless lives that day. As the smoke cleared and the jungle began to heal, Pip realized something profound. She had been running her own race all along, not a race for speed or strength, but a race of kindness, of noticing those who needed help, of being the bridge between the mighty and the meek. The great race of life, she understood now, wasn't about being the fastest or the strongest. It was about being true to your own nature, using your unique gifts to make the world better, and understanding that every creature, no matter how small, has an irreplaceable role to play. From that day forward, Pip raced with confidence, knowing that her path was uniquely hers, and that in the grand tapestry of the jungle, Her small brown thread was exactly where it needed to be, weaving connections and creating beauty in ways only she could accomplish. If Pip's journey warmed your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share her story, because the world needs more tiny heroes and big kindness.